Okay, good. But I think we can continue later our conversation.
Yeah,
Wait.
we have time.
Yeah. No. I will unmute. Paulo, you're still unmuted.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Hi. Good afternoon, Orang. Good afternoon, Siegfried. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir.
So the German part is ready.
The Heidelberg Club is
Heidelberg.
ready. So let me see about the Brussels, because I think Richard is in Brussels as well. So we have to wait for him. Hopefully, he will not be late. So we are only waiting for him to start. Just a bit of patience to everyone that is looking at us. I suppose that we are already available in YouTube. This time we are broadcasting the present webinar in the YouTube. We did in the past broadcast it in Facebook. And we are just waiting for the honorable member of the European Parliament, Richard Czarniecki, to join us. I think he's there, so it's only a matter of upgrading him to panelists. He is already there. Oh yeah, he's appearing. Very good. Good afternoon. Yeah, you are still without micro. Oh yeah. The micro is done. Oh, very good. You're looking wonderful. The trip was all right.
Proszę raz, to zwalnię, uważajcie z tym. Uważajcie z tym. Dobra. Okay, I'm ready.
Fantastic, very good. So we are starting a new webinar by South Asia Democratic Forum. This one is called Pakistan's Prime Minister's Parliamentary Eulogy of Osama bin Laden. This is, I think, perhaps the most important element in a long-standing drama, political drama, perhaps could I call it a farce, that is the relation of the Pakistani authorities with the most well-known leader of the most deadly jihadi organization that became sadly famous for the attack September 11, nearly 20 years ago. We are going to commemorate this mass murder next year in 2021. And someone that was obviously under the patronage of the Pakistani authorities, someone that continued to be protected and hidden by the Pakistani authorities. In the meantime, the Pakistani authorities declared that they were fully engaged in a war on terror. They were actually financed lavishly by the West to supposedly combat these terrorists. But after all, in 2011, it was made clear that Osama bin Laden was being protected in Pakistan. And now, in a very clear way, the Prime Minister of Pakistan says, well, he was a hero. So after all, Pakistan, that was financed to combat terror, now says publicly that it considers a hero the person that embodies, that really is the highest symbol of this very same terrorism that they were supposed to be combating. So this is a tremendous farce. It would be subject for laughter if it would not be so tragic, and if there would be not so many people that died by this fanatic ideology. It is absolutely a scandal. It is outrageous. It is unacceptable. And we have today with us to discuss the issue. First, an editor of the Pashtun Times, who is now living in Germany, Mr. Orhan Zeb Khan Zalmay. Secondly, we have the honorable member of the European Parliament, old colleague of mine, very good friend, Richard Czarniecki, that has been always going after the issue of jihadism, whatever sort of jihadism. And we have as well Dr. Siegfried Wolf, who is the director of research and our most important scientist dealing with state-sponsored terrorism, and in particular, the Pakistani state-sponsored terrorism, which is actually the most obvious in the world. And in this case, it is proved to be the assumed sponsor of the most important symbol of terrorism. I would start with Orhan, perhaps for a very specific reason, because the West have been told, and the press has repeated, time and time again, that the issue of terrorism was that these tribal people, these Pashtun living in the mountains, they were terrible, tribal, and they were very violent, and this was the problem. And the poor Pakistani establishment was trying to combat this terrorism, and was really facing a tremendous problem. This was obviously something that was not true, is not true, and the Pashtuns themselves are sending the message, although this message is not going across sufficiently in a sufficient loud way on the Western media. And so, Orhan, I think that it makes sense to start this issue of eulogy of Osama bin Laden in the parliament, in the Pakistani parliament, by the Pakistani Prime Minister, by you, with a Pashtun point of view on the issue. Please, the floor is yours, Orhan.
Thank you so much, sir, and hello to you all, and hello to all of the audience. Thanks for the invite. I am obliged. Yes, this is not something new what he said, that Osama was a shaheed, a martyr. The Prime Minister of Pakistan, when he was not a Prime Minister, before that, he refused in one of TV interview, and he doesn't want to call him that he was killed. So he actually, before that, he was determined to call him a shaheed. And shaheed or martyred in Islam is means a holy warrior. So if Osama was a holy warrior, according to Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, it means that the terrorism, the belief in terrorism is also means like a holy belief. And then terrorism, what Osama was doing, is a holy war. So he legitimized this war as a holy war. And when he was delivering speech in the parliament, the prime minister, first he said that Osama was killed, and then he corrected himself that Osama was martyred. So this actually reflects the narrative of Pakistan. The Pakistan narrative, that Pakistan believe in violent extremism, and they have nurtured the Pakistani bureaucratic military oligarchy. They have nurtured these militants and using them as a proxies. These militants, what we call, say in Pakistan, these militants, these religious extremists, they are the shadow army of Pakistan military. Pakistan military use them in Afghanistan, Pakistan military use them in India. And Pakistan military use these people against the US in Afghanistan. And what Donald Trump tweeted 2 years before, it was, I think, 1st January 2018, Donald Trump, the US president, tweeted that we have given billions and billions of dollars to Pakistan. We have wasted this money upon Pakistan because instead to eliminate terrorism, Pakistan is supporting terrorism. And being a Pakistani citizen and being working as a journalist, Pakistan, my opinion is that Pakistan is not only supporting terrorists, Pakistan is not only sponsoring terrorists, Pakistan is not only nurturing terrorists, but Pakistan is exporting terrorists to the world. And very proudly, the Pakistani military generals, and like in Pakistan, the military is actually ruling the country. The parliament is nominal body. They don't have power. Even in the court, last time the Chief Justice of Islamabad High Court, Justice Siddiqui, he said in a statement that the decisions are not made in court, but they are made by the military generals, and they just send us the decision. So the military is running this country. The military is not only running the country, but they are running the businesses. They are everywhere. In every business, military is has a hegemony. They have monopolized the markets. Their work is to defend the country, but they only define the country, and they do not defend the country. So very proudly, what I was talking before, that the Pakistani military generals, like President Pervez Musharraf, he said in one of his interview, and one can find this interview on YouTube and somewhere in Google, that Al-Qaeda, Osama was our hero. And again, he's repeating in his interview that Taliban are our heroes. And the former DGISI, Hamid Gul, he called Taliban as his disciples, as his students. And Colonel Imam, the Pakistani military colonel, he was considered as a spiritual father of Taliban. And General Qadir Baloch said that Taliban are our people. So these are their statements they made, the Pakistani military, about Taliban, about Osama bin Laden. That they are our people, and they are not our people, they are our heroes. And therefore, when PTM, the slogan of PTM is, the Pashtun Protection Movement is, that ये जो दहशतगर्दी है इसके पीछे वर्दी है, that behind terrorism is the military uniform. So one can see Taliban is, of course, in some Taliban are Pashtuns by origin, and there are Talibans who are Punjabis. But what they did, as you mentioned, that Musharraf was delivering lectures in the universities in Europe, in the US, the Taliban are Pashtuns and Pashtuns are Taliban. So they stigmatize the Pashtuns as terrorists. We say no, Pashtuns is Baja Khan, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, who was a non-violent leader, a companion of Gandhi. He spent more than 34 years in prison fighting a non-violent campaign against the British masters in British Raj. We say no, Pashtuns are Rahman Baba, Pashtuns are Ghani Khan, they are poets, they are intellectuals, and this is the land of Buddhism, of Zoroastrianism. So Pashtuns have their history, and in history they are non-violent people. They are very lovely people. They are not Taliban, and we are the Pashtuns themselves are the victims of Taliban, who are the shadow army of Pakistan. And for the first time, we challenge the role of Pakistani military. We challenge the Pakistani military. Is Pakistani military involved in extrajudicial killing of the Pashtuns, Baloch, Sindhis, and other religious and ethnic minorities? Pakistan military is involved in kidnapping for ransom in the Pashtun belt, in the Baloch belt. Pakistani military waged a fake war in the name of war on terror and deceived the whole world. And I'm still very surprised that and what Donald Trump tweeted, it was very correct. The US tax money was paid to the Pakistan military. And this money went to the hands of Pakistan military, and Pakistan military supported and nurtured and trained these jihadists, and these jihadists killed the US soldier in Afghanistan. It means that indirectly, the US tax money was paid to those people who are killing their own soldier in Afghanistan. So for the first time, we challenge the narrative of Pakistan, which is an extremist narrative. We challenge and we said that the Taliban are Taliban. And good and Taliban, we do not make this distinguish. Taliban are Taliban. And they are dangerous. They are killing Pashtuns, they are killing innocent people, and they are mercenaries for Pakistan military. And where they are living, they are not living in the areas like in mountains, in the rough areas. They live in cantonment areas. So the first example comes to Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, he was living in the cantonment area. In Abbottabad, I have seen this place and I have seen his home after his episode when he was being killed. So it is almost, I think, 80 to 100 feet away from the military academy, the top Pakistani military academy in Abbottabad. So, and he was not living for one day, one month. He was living there for years. And PM Imran Khan is saying that we were embarrassed that US army, they came and they killed and they martyr Osama. What he's saying, martyr. But he's not ashamed that why Osama was living here for years. And he's not objecting this, and he can't object this because he's the translator of Pakistan military. And then we comes to Taliban, where Taliban were living. Mullah Umar, he was living in Karachi, and either he was killed there or he died. We don't know so far this, but he was in Karachi. And then Mullah Mansour, he was killed in a drone strike in Quetta, having a Pakistani ID card. So in Balochistan, in this Gulistan and these areas, there are Quetta Shura, and in Quetta Shura now there are two sects again. Like one is the Mullah Biradar group and the other is the Hebatullah group. They have some antagonism among them. So they are living there and they have their own courts there. And people, even some people coming from Afghanistan here to get to resolve their issues. And Mullah Biradar is using Pakistani passport. His son is using Pakistani passport, and his nephew is a Pakistani doctor. And they have protection in Pakistan. If you go to the university, you can go to university, there will be no protection. To a school, you cannot find, you can't see protection. But if you go to the Taliban areas, there you will see Pakistani military. Their movements, their protection to them. So then we are saying that actually, ये जो दहशतगर्दी है, इसके पीछे वर्दी है. That behind this terrorism is the Pakistani military. And then they say that Pashtun Protection Movement (PTM) is sponsored by the foreign countries. They just blame us with this, and we say that the PTM demand is that let's like you have made the constitution according to the state constitution. Our demands are legal. We say stop extrajudicial killings. We say that the fake war waged in the name of war and terror in Pashtun Belt, in Swat, in Waziristan, in other tribal areas, and so far there are 15 operations, military operations, Pakistan military has conducted in Pashtun Belt. And thousands, from 80 to 90,000 innocent Pashtuns are being killed. We say that let's constitute a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate the war crimes. They are not ready. This is our legal demand. We say that Taliban are Taliban, and they should be they should not be support or sponsored by the Pakistani military. So they are doing this in the tribal area, in the semi-tribal area, even in the settled area. They are supporting this, and I challenge the Pakistani military that show me a single non-terrorist. If you have killed a single non-terrorist in these operations, not a single one. They were innocent people. They were doing bombardment on Pashtun areas, and next day, what you are reading in the newspaper, that Pakistani Fizaiya ki karwai jari or 60 दहशतगर्द मारे गए, means that the Pakistani Air Force are doing successful operations and 60 terrorists are being killed. And who are killed in those bombardment? Children, innocent people, local people, they were killed. And if I narrate the stories, a girl, she had an exam and she was reading some things for somewhere in the night and have some light. and the house was hit by Pakistani Air Forces. And then there was nothing for her parents to bring her to the hospital. And because of the bleeding, and she was crying the whole night, please bring me to the hospital. And there was no conveyance, nothing, no possibility to bring her to the hospital. And she died of wounds, of bleeding. There are thousands of stories. We say to investigate these stories. Let's constitute a Truth and Reconciliation Commissions. And what they do, as you said, they said Pashtuns are terrorists, Pashtuns are Taliban. No, we say no, we are against Taliban, we are against terrorism. And Osama was not martyred, Osama was not Shaheed, Mullah Omar was not Shaheed. They were the proxies. These Talibans are the proxies of Pakistan military, and they are the enemy of humanity. Osama was an international terrorist. And very ironically, when you see, like when Pakistan Prime Minister is saying that he was Shaheed, that he was martyred, his words were not expunged from the business of the parliament. No, these words are recorded in the history of Pakistan. And Osama would be regarded as martyr. And so I will repeat again that if he is regarded as a holy warrior, as a mujahid, it means that the war on terror is a jihad and is a legitimate Islamic war. So in this war, I would take only 1 minute. I think we are running out of time. In this war, we have one party, Awami National Party, that is a Pashtun kind of nationalist party, and they lost their leaders in this war. Bilor was killed by Taliban. Bashir Ahmad Bilor, he was a senior minister in the provincial parliament of Pashtun province. In my areas, like so many leaders of the NP were being killed, and 800 around are Pashtun elders, those who had minds and was able to criticize the Pakistani military role. They were being killed in target killing. So we are the victim of state-sponsored terrorism of Pakistan. We are not terrorists. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this brilliant lesson on reality, on facts, on history. We have to do much more. This is a beginning to do more than this, because it is absolutely outrageous how the Western media and some Western intelligentsia is broadcasting the big lie of the Pakistani authorities that really reverses the reality. Instead of showing, as you said, Pashtun people that is suffering terrorism sponsored by Pakistan, it is the opposite that has been said to the international opinion, and it is crucial to have the truth to surface. And so now, without further delay, please, Honorable Richard Czarniecki, to give a European point of view. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Kazaka, Mr. Chair. Firstly, thank you very much indeed for the invitation for this very important and prestigious webinar. For many years, I can observe the situation in Asia, and especially in Pakistan. And truly speaking, I'm not a diplomat. The word terrorism and the state Pakistan have often been used synonymously in the conscience of the world at large, pertaining to the nature of the support extended by the Islamic State of Pakistan to terrorist factions and the culture of extremism within and outside its territorial limits. It's no news truly speaking, to the world, that Pakistan has often been an ardent supporter of terrorism and radicalism despite the country, fooling around to paint a picture otherwise. Islamabad's support to terrorism has really been based on sly methods, the chief being the habit of constant denial by the authorities engaged. Shielding the truth under the garb of pretense can't help to efface the truth for long, and the world came face to face of the ugly truth of Pakistan being a safe haven for terrorism to prosper post the killing of former Al-Qaeda chief Osama bin Laden on May 2011, nearly a decade after the 9/11 attacks on America, where killed over 3,000 people. Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attack, was killed by the US Special Forces when they raided his hideout in the Pakistani. Hello? Hello?
We are hearing you. Continue.
I'm sorry. The Pakistani city of Abbottabad, the cantonment town, not far from Islamabad. It's impossible that all supreme military would not have been aware of the hideout of bin Laden in the cantonment area. It has been widely urged that despite being founded by the US for the war of terror, Pakistan leveraged the money to provide a safe refuge for terrorist factions while painting a picture of fighting terrorism. The remark of the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan on June 25 in a parliament session, terming the global terrorist Osama bin Laden a martyr, has exposed the deceit and inclination of the country on whole the head of the nation showcasing sympathy towards extremist leaders project, the sympathy of the country on a whole. Pakistan's unilateral support to terrorist faction like Al-Qaeda and the Taliban has now been laid bare and its deeds exposed. In its latest US State Department country report, Pakistan has been accused of continuing to be a safe haven, I can repeat, for regionally focused terrorist groups. It has allowed groups targeting Afghanistan, including the Afghan Taliban and affiliated Haqqani network, as well as groups targeting India, including LET and its affiliated front organization and Jaish Mohammed to operate from its territory. Despite its continuous claims of making progress along the lines of counterterrorism and counter-terror financing, Pakistan has faced from its responsibility of taking actions against terrorists, such as Jaish Mohammed, former and UN-designated terrorist Masood Azhar, and 2008 Mumbai attack, Parvero Sajid Mir. apart from it, Pakistan has also avoided to complete all action plan items in 2019 that has been listed by the Financial Action Task Force, furthering to remain in the grey list. Pakistan has miserably failed to dismantle all terrorist organizations without delay and discrimination. Finally speaking, tooling upon the states could no longer aid the country from world criticism for being both an overt and covert supporter of terrorism factions, to grant its own acts of utilizing them to change the regional status quo. I think it's the, frankly speaking, in my opinion, last call for international community for not only words and blah, 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 but especially for the action. It's my appeal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard Czarniecki, for this important position you have been accompanying in the European Parliament, the situation in South Asia, and most in particular terrorism. And this is a very important declaration that you left for the public opinion, showing how you are absolutely scandalized by the way Pakistan is committing itself to the most egregious leader of terrorism, and till now we have not seen consequences from this. We hope there will be consequences in the name of all the innocent victims, either Pashtun or all over the world. We should remember that the Al-Qaeda, after the death of Osama bin Laden, was a decision, and the caliphate came out of it, and caliphate and Al-Qaeda are the two major terrorist groups that are sowing death and destruction all over the world, and no one should be allowed to forget this. So now, as the last speaker of our webinar, we have our Director of Research that has an extensive curricula on the issue, and most in particular, he has co-edited book, Terrorism Revisited, where he has a full chapter explaining how Pakistan is really the best, the most perfect example of state-sponsored terrorism in the world. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Paulo, very much for your kind word of introduction. Dear honorable member of the European Parliament, Mr. Richard Czarniecki, dear Rangsep, dear all online participants. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to share my views with you on some of the latest and crucial developments in Pakistan. The statement of Pakistan's military-backed Prime Minister Imran Khan in the National Assembly, in which he glorified Osama bin Laden as martyr, or as Shahid, as we heard from Rangsep, is without doubt a landmark event which needs a closer assessment and contextualization. To do so, I want to highlight several points. Firstly, Prime Minister Khan's description of OBL as martyr and the subsequent glorification of jihadism and international terrorism was not just a slip of the tongue. It is a confirmation of the official policy of the military, the political leadership, and the relevant states institutions. This is already well known, but what is new is that such statements are done publicly and especially in the national parliament. Secondly, it is an open and blank confirmation that Pakistan continues to use jihadism, state terror, and cross-border terrorism as a tool in its domestic and foreign policy. Prime Minister Khan would not make such a statement without the backing of the security sector agents, foremost the army and the intelligence service ISI, who traditionally function as the main sponsor of the Afghan Taliban and numerous other jihadi groups. As such, the narrative of Pakistan being a victim and persecutor of terrorism is clearly undermined by Khan's statement and must be rigorously rejected. Thirdly, Khan's statement must be also seen as a strategy of distraction from his dramatic policy failure in the handling of the corona pandemic, the declining economy, and especially from his increasing style of authoritarian governance. As such, Khan most likely interprets the description of OBL as a matter, as a way of gaining or regaining political legitimacy to broaden his social base among the religious right. By openly glorifying international terrorists, he attempts to capitalize on anti-American sentiments. As such, Khan intensifies Pakistan's appeasement policy towards the rapidly growing jihadist elements in the country's state apparatus and society. My fourth point is that I can see that several observers are stating that Khan's eulogy of OBL would harm country's relationship with China. Furthermore, in this context, it will lead to negative consequences for the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and brief CPEC, the current signature project in their bilateral relations. I argue that this is not the case. Beijing was able in the past to establish a normal working relationship with the former Taliban regime. Khan's appeasement policy towards the Taliban and other religious extremists is also in the interest of the Chinese government. Here, one needs to point out that there are indications for an increasing ambivalence in China's approach towards religious fundamentalist groups. An apparent common interest is to ensure that Chinese development projects, and especially the CPEC, will not move in the focus of jihadist groups. Fifthly, through the policy switch from clandestine to open clarification of the case of OBL, Khan apparently aims to support the image campaign of the Afghan Taliban who gave shelter to Al-Qaeda. Obviously, Pakistan hopes to strengthen or maintain its relationship with the Afghan Taliban to gain even more leverage in the intra-Afghan peace process. Consequently, Khan's OBL statement is a clear indicator that Pakistan is not willing to stop its attempts to influence political trajectories in Afghanistan. My sixth point is that due to diplomatic influence campaigns, Pakistan's ambitious policies, Chinese backing, and false hopes among Western countries, Islamabad was able to cultivate the image of being a stakeholder in the war on terror. Subsequently, Pakistan's state sponsorship of terrorism did not get sufficiently reflected by the international community, which was leading to a benevolent policy approaches towards Islamabad. Such, there is an urgent need for the international community to reassess their relationship with a country which glorifies jihadism and practice state sponsorship of terrorism. To sum up, Pakistan is the most active sponsor of terrorism in the South Asian region. International experts are confirming that the country is not only flirting with jihadism, but also using terrorism as an instrument of state policy for decades. Until now, Islamabad rejected all accusations in this direction. However, its support for the Taliban and the glorification of OBL and Al-Qaeda serves as clear evidence. As such, Pakistan must be identified as a state which persistently and systematically sponsors terrorism. This is gaining significance since Pakistan is unwilling to change its policy on the use of jihadi groups and their ideology, even as it tries to reassure the international community that it is ready for a drastic transformation. Overall, this is unfortunate because Islamabad's policy poses a challenge to security and stability in the region and presents, as we heard from Aurangzeb today, a huge risk for people living in areas under the control of Pakistan's authorities. It is time for the international community to acknowledge that Pakistan is a major part of the problem and not a credible partner when it comes to tackling the problem of jihadism and cross-border terrorism in South Asia. And Prime Minister Khan just gave the incontrovertible proof. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Siegfried, for your very interesting intervention and presentation on the issue. We have still some time for questions. We have already one question here that was raised by Anna Madatali that is working with us as an advisor to SADF. And the issue she raises is, well, terrorism is acknowledged to be a major problem for humanity. And how comes that the international community did not react properly? I mean, we haven't seen no condemnation from the United Nations at no level, as a matter of fact, of these preposterous words of the Prime Minister of Pakistan that really makes the full apology of terrorism in its worst form. That's a question perhaps that both Aurangzeb and Siegfried, you could address, please.
Aurangzeb, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, Aurang.
Sorry, sir, you can go first. I would like that you go first.
Okay. We'll find it out. Yeah, this is a $1 million question. There are several issues. I mean, first of all is what I mentioned in my presentation, the false hope in the West. There's still the belief that one has to be nice to countries like Pakistan to help them in order to implement changes, yeah? So, but obviously, since decades now, we are helping. We have so many programs like GSP Plus, yeah, which are supposed to improve the industrialization and the economy and the social political conditions in the country. So they get a lot of benefits, trade benefits, but it doesn't help. Partly there's also a false interpretation, false thinking that Pakistan was a useful partner in Afghanistan for engagement in Afghanistan, but had a very mixed outcome, as we know. And from a more conceptual, theoretical perspective, there's still a problem in the academic community to identify state as a terrorist. Yeah? And this perception has to change. The people have to understand, in particular also not only the academic community, also the policymakers, that states can also appear as terrorists. Yeah. And not only individuals or certain organizations. So this would be my first statement to this.
Before I would pass the floor to Aurangzeb, in the meantime, there is another question, and the second question is specifically to you. So perhaps you could address both of the questions. And this question is, well, as we know, the Durand Line divided Pashtuns into different countries, Afghanistan, and what was then, after the partition, what became Pakistan. This Durand Line is not accepted by Afghanistan. But anyway, how do you think that those Pashtuns that live on the southern side of the Durand Line feel in face of these proclamations of eulogy to their biggest assassin and killer? How do they feel in being in the same country, Pakistan, as the Prime Minister that is praising terrorism this way? So please.
Also to me, yeah. You're okay. I can't hear you, Paulo. You're unmuted.
No, sorry. This is a question for Aurangzeb.
Oh, okay, good.
Add to the second one that he was going to the first one that he was going to answer.
Okay,
yeah,
I
please.
can add
the
something
two
later.
of them for Aurangzeb, please.
Okay.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. So I would come to the second question. First, of course, the Durand Line is what the Pashtuns or the Afghans, they say that it is a line of hatred. And the Pashtuns across the Durand Line, they do not accept this line. And there are villages, there are families living upon this line. They have their markets on the other side and homes on the other side of the line, and they have their cemetery on one side and their village on the other side. So even physically, this line cannot separate the Pashtuns. Like Afghanistan, so far they didn't accept this, and this is the major contention between Pakistan and Afghanistan, that Afghanistan do not accept this, and the Pashtun as a whole, they do not accept this line. To come to this, so this is one of the issue. Unless this issue is not resolved, there will be tension between Pakistan and Afghanistan. This is true, and this should be resolved. And then coming to the second part, sorry, this was the first question, that like people in the world, they think that Pakistan has given sacrifices in the war on terror. So, but I will say that the Pakistan economy is a war economy, and the military want this. The military do not want to eliminate terrorism. The military do not want to have good relation with India. The people, the Pashtuns, the Baloch, they have given sacrifices. And basically Pashtuns, they have given sacrifices against terrorism. These 80,000 and 90,000 people who are being killed, they were Pashtuns, they were innocent Pashtuns, they were not people killed in Lahore, in Punjab. So this is like one of the mistake that people are thinking that Pakistan has given sacrifices. Pakistan is playing a proxy war. And this war Pakistan is being paid for this war, billions and billions of dollars. And even till today, Pakistan want to play its role for the US if the US pay to Pakistan military, and Pakistan military is a mercenary. So it is true. So the world really need to make Pakistan accountable for this. And so far, like Pakistan is very successful to deceive the whole world, even supporting terrorism, harboring. They found all the Al Qaeda main leaders in Pakistan. They found in Pakistan, and they found the Taliban leader in Pakistan. They were either killed or captured. So now the world should believe that it is actually Pakistan who is supporting and sponsoring terrorists. And not only doing this, but Pakistan is involved in human rights violation of Baloch and Pashtuns and Sindhis. So the world need to play here a role. Even India. India is considered a regional superpower, but so far India never tried to think about these ethnic minorities and religious minorities living in Pakistan. And the Pashtun is also paying for the struggle they did for the United India. Bajahan was fighting against the division of India. So now in Pakistan, Bajahan or the Pashtun, they are considered anti-Pakistani. Of course, they are not anti-Pakistani. They are citizens here, but they are the second-class citizen. And of course, they were against the division of India in the name of religion. So I think India also need to play a role, and the world need to play a role. Even the US need to play a role to make Pakistan accountable, and they need to address the demands of the Pashtun Protection Movement of PTM. Their demands are legal. So this is time that the world should address these demands. And I can also tell you that the former president of Afghanistan, he was repeatedly telling the US that the terrorism and the terrorist safe havens, they are beyond the different line. They are in Pakistan. And this also make the relation between US and the Ahmed Karzai deteriorated. So, of course, they are living, these terrorists are in Pakistan, as Richard Chernesky pointed out that these safe havens are in Pakistan. Of course, this is true. They are in Chuburji, they are in Lahore, they are in Muridke, the safe havens, they are in Ichra, the safe havens, and they are in the open areas. Anybody can see them. So it's time that the world make Pakistan accountable. But so far, we can't see any positive step in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aurangzeb. I think that you really answered both the questions. Before we wind up our webinar, let me tell you that our next webinar will be on the 22nd of July. It will be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Brussels time. And it will deal with the issue of why Goa matters to theory. And it will be, it will consist on a conference by Dr. Jason Fernandes. And so I would like you to pay attention to this webinar. For today, I think that we can wind up by saying that the world needs to give a fresher look on the issue of terrorism. People continue to die, especially in Africa. We see everyday news of these groups, either the Caliphate or the Al-Qaeda, that both of them came from Osama bin Laden leadership. They are murdering people by the thousands. Actually, African lives matter. That's what I think that people should bear in mind when they think about terrorism. Because sometimes it seems like we did not have many victims in Europe or the United States, so it's not so important. No, it is very important. We have to understand that our media really tired people with a lot of information and a lot of disinformation as regards the role of the ideologues of the military establishment in Pakistan and the Pashtun that actually should be remembered by their peaceful efforts to access independence, as Aurangzeb already said. Not there are Pashtuns that are terrorists. Well, actually there are terrorists coming from every corner in the world. That does not mean that the Pashtuns have something to do with terrorism, as it has been wrongly assumed. The problem is a state that is promoting terrorism as its main foreign policy, and the international community that is fundamentally saying that this is acceptable. This is the big problem, and we have to face it, and we have to do whatever we can to combat this situation. And we are very thankful for your presence, for all of you, for Siegfried, most in particular for Aurangzeb. You made an extraordinary impression. You know, you speak from the reality, from the heart, from the heart of the crux of the matter. And I think your testimony is absolutely fundamental. And whenever you have some time out of your academic studies, you are very much welcome to participate in our publications. We would really like to have a bit of your expertise. So to all of you that have been following us in YouTube.
Thank you so much for the invite.
You're quite welcome.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
In the YouTube or here in Zoom. Thank you very much, and we will be continuing to follow this issue very closely. Thank you all, and hopefully seeing you on the 22nd. Goodbye.